At the John Daly Major Ed Foundation, we also focus on making sure that we partner up with great organizations. Great organizations like St. Jude's, great organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, our friends at Warriors for Freedom, our friends at Force 50 Foundation, which provides veterans the health care that they need. As you can see, we are the safety net at the John Daly Major Ed Foundation to make sure that no one gets left behind on the field of battle and that you're taken care of in the home front. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Hoorah!
I've been a fan of the Elixir since it came out, and it does exactly what I need to do. Long off the tee, holds a lot of greens. I can easily spin it with the wedges. Performs very well, okay? When the new ball came out, the Vero X1, I was skeptical because they say it's longer off the tee, but usually that means it's a harder cover. Well, it's not a harder cover. It's just as spinny as the Elixir, but it just pounces off the face. It is amazing. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for an extra couple yards off the tee and still want that same spin number that you get in your wedges and your irons and everything else. It is an awesome ball. Team Encore. See that? Got me for life.
For more information, their website is www.encoregolf.com, and be more with Encore.
Welcome back to Big's Golf Talk and BGT-TV. Big John Quick along with the golf father Bill Cuevas, and the segment is sponsored by the Distance Shoe. Sqairz Shoes. Proof, not promise. You got to get that ground force underneath your feet, baby, if you want to gain more yards off the tee. And the Distance Shoe is proof, not promise, and that is Sqairz Shoes. Now, Bill the Golf Father Cuevas, if you don't believe me, which a lot of times you don't, brother,
well, come on, man. It's
I
you.
have brought in a person to back my back up and back up the data that Sqairz has to prove and not promise.
There you go. Like I had told you before that I went and I actually saw the video from 2020 that we did with Mr. Robert Winskowitz, and I watched the whole thing, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, everything we talked about then has now been proven. And it continues to get the data, and that yeah, there's so much that happened in 2020 that 2021 has just blown it out the water, and they just continue to grow. And I think now with the data that we're going to have this fine young gentleman on our show, I think we should bring. Oh, there he is! Look at that young guy over there. Oh, look at he's holding a.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring in a man that knows science, a man that can break down data. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Hashimoto is joining us here on Big's Golf Talk. And Terry, welcome into Big's Golf Talk, your very first time on Big's Golf Talk.
It's fantastic to be here with the Godfather and you there, Big John. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah. He said the first. You heard that, right, Terry? He said the first time, which means he's implying there's probably gonna be a second time, maybe a third time, maybe a fourth. Who knows? But you know what, Terry? Check this out. We could hash it out later.
We're gonna
square up and hash it out.
Let's square it up and hash it out. That's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna ask you to move that because you're a little overmodulated. Move that little microphone away from your mouth a little bit there. Bill.
Yes, me.
Yes.
I'm not you, Terry. It's me. I got a mic.
He likes to eat the microphone for some reason.
I know it's not that. It's that my partner over there. He just doesn't know what he wants. Sometimes he wants it close. Sometimes he wants it far. It's all on him. It's his fault.
That's you guys are a great team.
You know what? I'm not the one doing the talking though. It's like when he talks,
I'm just saying. You
know,
the
microphone.
Mr. Terry, it's the producer's fault.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm going to say.
It's always the caddy.
It's always the caddy, and it's always the producer. Yeah, he heard that. Tell him to meet me in the parking lot later. He knows where I live.
He's up in the booth right now controlling stuff, and
apparently he's not controlling everything because
the thing about the producers, yeah, see, he does stuff like that and just takes them off screen. But
it's all good. I got the face for the radio and the TV, so it's all good.
Hey, Terry, we're about to show a video really quick of a golfer that you were working with. And can you tell us his handicap and what made you guys do this video?
This was a really impromptu video. In fact, I sent it to you as we were doing it by text. And this is a beginner golfer, maybe played 5 or 6 times. It was only hit a 7-iron, maybe 95, 97 yards. And you're going to see in this clip, I just got frustrated and I said, put him on. He put on the Sqairz shoes. He went to 119 immediately, 3 shots in a row. And this is a really good example of a legitimate test. Just put them on, hit it. And can't get any more impromptu than this and any more real.
All right. We're gonna take a look at this video and then we're gonna come back and discuss it. We'll be right back.
All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna let Sean warm up. This is the Sqairz test. All right, so he's just warming up, and we're testing the systems, making sure everything's working. And the athlete will tell us when they're ready to go. Sean, you ready? How many balls you hit to warm up?
About 15.
Oh, okay, good. So we're gonna do all the tests here. We're gonna capture all the information. And we're gonna do the carry, ball speed, smash factor. We're gonna indicate the type of trace. We're gonna indicate the range of motor, ROM and shoulders, hips, the peak velocity. We're gonna do the peak vertical force, max vertical force on the trail and lead, and the total, and the release factor. So we're going to do all these metrics. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. We're going to get ready, rock and roll, capture the first swing, and we'll do all 10 shots. All right, you can see the data being collected, and we're going to save all this stuff up into the computer. So all right, so 10 shots. Now you're giving Sean a pair of Sqairz socks, and he's about to put these on, and we're going to let him walk around on them just to get comfortable. First impressions?
Yeah. They're comfy.
Good. You like those laces, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should. I'm going to put them on my son's soccer shoes. Hate to see him tying up all the time.
Feet feel really stable.
130. All right. Okay, we have to do Sean, good, bad, or ugly. Last ball. Here we go. All of that. You can see you getting collected.
And that's where Volvo cars are tested. Because when you want a car that's ready for Canadian winters, you make sure to
129.6. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I'm doing this in the exact order of which I do the test. So after we've saved the data, just stand still. We'll take a screenshot of that. This is the measure of the surface contact area of the shoes. Okay, Sean, before I do the reveal, I've just added numbers. What did you think of the Sqairz shoes? Seriously, what did you think?
I found them to be very stable.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was rolling or anything. It felt more stable and square coming over the ball and through the ball. I obviously hit the ball probably 15 yards long.
I think you got more than that, actually, Sean. But we're gonna do that. So not to put words in your mouth. In general, bottom line, scale out of 1 to 10.
They're very comfortable. I definitely give them a 9.5, 10.
Perfect. So just, what do you do for a living, Sean?
I'm a paramedic.
And so you would validate these results that we did?
Yes, I do.
So we just discarded the worst shot out of each set.
Right.
And we just took, it was a lateral. We don't want to include any laterals in our, all right, good. Sean, you ready for the reveal?
I'm ready.
All right, so we collected all the data. We threw away the lateral in both sets. He had 1 lateral with each set. We threw those away. 10 shots. All right, so you ready for this? Your average went from 113.2 to 137.7, a distance gain of 24.5 yards. They're totally legit. Your ball speed went from 89 to 103. Your smash factor went from 1.2 to 1.4, so anybody can do that. What was interesting is that your range of motion in your shoulders increased by 12.7%. Your range of motion in your hips increased by 9.3%. Your lateral speed increased from 263 to 324. Well, that's basically that's a 25% increase in your lateral speed. What's interesting too is that your max vertical force on your lead side went up about 15%. your trail side went down, so you had more stability in your trail boot. So you actually slowed down on your vertical force in your trail side. And that's just 10 shots using the Sqairz shoes. What do you think, Sean?
I like them.
Yeah. That's about it. That's all you can say, man. You liked them. All right, you finally got a smile out of that. Sqairz shoes, beautiful. There you go. Cheers. Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome. Like it's so stable feeling. Like I don't get that from these shoes at all.
That's the aftercuts.
Yeah.
All right, we're back here on Big's Golf Talk, and Bill the Golf Father Cuevas and I and Billy, very informative on that video.
Yes. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I mean, the distance that he gained, the speed and everything is incredible. But for a beginner, that's great. I just think that even with people like you and myself, when we got it, I mean, we picked up instantly. 2-3 miles per hour and I'll swing. I mean, from demo day in 2020,
drastic yardage that gentleman got.
Exactly, but we're not actual beginners. I mean,
right.
This is impromptu, and this guy has only been there for a couple of days. He's not into golf like us, who've been doing it for years the wrong way. But we saw the impact that had on you on 2020, right on the range, instantly within your turn, within your balance, no jumping out, which was huge for you, Biggs. You were always jumping out, which caused you to cut it, which caused that beautiful fade. There you go, Terry. Speak, Terry. Your mic's on. You don't have to worry about talk.
That's where the beauty of the shoe is. I mean, you free up the toes. The toes are the brakes. The heels are the accelerators. The ankles are the propulsion system. And this is the beauty of Sqairz shoes. It has more contact surface area in the right spots. Mm-hmm. And when you see, and in my opinion, and this is doing a lot of research here now for Sqairz, we're seeing a much more stabilized trail side. The number one pressure trait that great players have is they get the pressure to the lead side early. But if that trail boot is not stable, if you can't stabilize that pressure on your trail side, it goes outside of the trail foot and it can't get to the lead side quickly. And that's really one of the secrets to the Sqairz shoes. It helps golfers get pressure to the lead side quicker.
You bring up that point about the trail side, and how many times have we watched professional tournaments and all of a sudden somebody hits a wayward shot and they actually show their swing, and that's one of the things that I've noticed is the footwork on how that trail side is to the sideways, or it's not. They're not getting any stability on the ground force, and exactly. And we see that all the time in other footwear that you're essentially your foot's rolling. Yeah. And and that can cause you 20 yards left, 20 yards right, and it should be 20 yards down the middle. And Sqairz is providing you a footwear. Now, last week we had on Colt Ford, who was one of the ambassadors. So someone might be asking, why are you guys having Sqairz on twice?
We're not. It's two different things. You have one guy that played.
We're trying to give you data on how your game can be better and how you can gain, up to 20 yards, just by changing your shoes.
Well, the beauty of it from my perspective is I played. And so for me, when we started developing, I'm the co-founder of ByTrack, which is a pressure mat that you stand on. We measure center of pressure. And I helped some guys develop software that measures all the metrics in 3D as well. So we combine them. And the reason Bob asked me to take a look at the shoes is he knew we had all these metrics available. And we understood pressure mapping very, very well. We created the understanding of it, basically. We didn't invent pressure mapping, but what we did invent was clarity of it. And we have helped make it easier to understand. So bottom line was, when you see instability in that trail foot, that's one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is the stability in the lead foot, which allows you to brake properly. And the Sqairz shoes have the largest contact area in the part of the foot where you really need that contact area, which is between the top transverse arch and the bottom transverse arch. Transverse just across the shoe. So in that area there, I mean, you can swing fast, but if you don't have the ability to stop, it's like having a Ferrari with no brakes. What good is that? You can go 30 miles an hour, but you can't brake it. Well, the great thing about the Sqairz shoes is that it gives you braking power on the trail side so you can push forward to the lead side, and it gives you more stability on the lead side so you can brake more effectively into the ground prior to impact, which is the definitive reason why you get more distance. Period. Bar none.
I got a question, Jerry, because over a year, I mean, not too many critics have downplayed what Bob was even. I mean, everybody's been trying it out. You've had people like Sir Nick Faldo that's joined in on their own.
Yeah.
You had I'll guess him last week, Colt Ford, who said, I reached out. I sent them a DM. So these are people that are reaching out, not like he's going to solicit people. Hey, I'm going to pay you to do my shoes. These are people that have just they've tried it. They like it. Colt Ford had a problem with his feet. I've spoken and Biggs have spoken. I when I did Bandon Dunes, I had to change my shoes every 18 holes. My feet were killing me. As soon as I started putting on Sqairz, I said, hey, I'm going to put on Sqairz for 18. I'm going to take them off and put the other ones on and see what happens. Well, I put Sqairz on. I was fine. I wasn't tired. I wasn't fatigued. My feet didn't hurt. I switched. 3 holes later, I had my Sqairz back on because they're not the same. It's not the same. And people are like, oh, they're heavy. They're this, they're that. And no, when I walk, I don't know if they're heavy because they don't feel heavy. I have light shoes that I'll feel more in my feet. It'll make my feet hurt. I can feel the twisting of my feet, which I don't want. So there's a lot of things that are allegedly positives that are actually negative for us. I don't want to walk and feel everything on my feet. So Terry, have you found that because of the stability of that shoe, are they heavy? I mean, I don't feel that they're heavy. I could walk 36 with no problem at all in them.
No, the beauty of the shoes is in the toes. That's number one. Let's start right there. Because when you free up the toes, you allow them to do what they're supposed to do, which is to stabilize the foot. There's a reason why God gave you 10 toes. And most of us are lucky enough to have 10 toes. But when you turn them downward, they curl up and they become tense. And when they become tense, your foot becomes tense, and then your ankle becomes tense, and everything stops right there. Okay? Yeah. It's when the flow of energy from the feet goes up through your body in a very easy manner. They got to be loose. It's like Bob's deal when he shows you the hand, they tighten it up and you can feel the tension in your arms and your shoulder. Yeah. Same drill for the foot, exactly, verbatim. What's really, really cool was, and I didn't understand this, took a little while, because I started looking for common denominators, and we started to see that the knee flex didn't flex as much, but the improvement in the range of motion in the hips and the shoulder turn increased. So I didn't get it. So I brought in the doctors, I brought in the MDs, and I asked them to explain this to me, and they did. Because I'm not a pure scientist. I'm a researcher based on a range of motion in the feet, proper foot movement patterns, body track, pressure mapping. I'm an expert on, absolutely unequivocally. Okay. Got it. But when we started to see these knees not bend as much, they were more stable. The hip turn increased and the shoulder turn increased. We started to understand it. It's because the pressure was off the trail side early. And this is really, really interesting. And I'll lose some people, but you can follow me on my Facebook and we can talk about this later. It reduces the vertical pressure on the trail side, increases it on the lead side, because basically the laws of conservation of energy, either one of you can swing all out and it's only going to generate so much force no matter what you do. But it's where that force is displaced is the ticket to distance. So, but the Sqairz shoes reduce the pressure on the trail side by creating a more stable boot, allowing that energy to be placed into the lead side at the right time and creating a better chance for braking properly prior to impact. You take a Ferrari and you go down the highway at 200 miles an hour, and if you don't have brakes, guess what? You're hitting the wall. It's that simple. Yeah. Done deal.
Well, here's the other thing, too. You bring up a race with a Ferrari. He's not going to get up to speed. He's only going to turn the wheels if he doesn't have the right traction.
Right. Well, the traction, we started measuring the contact area of the shoes, and in and around 20%, Sqairz had 20% more contact area than any other shoe we tested. But what was interesting, and we call it the vertical line, is that vertical line, that center of mass, that center of gravity was located between 1 inch to 2 inches more towards the center of the foot than any other shoe. Meaning that you had a more stable position in the middle of the shoe, allowing that freedom and that range of motion to be very well centered, so your foot can move all over the place and you still have the ability to become more stable.
Wow, that's incredible, and the data speaks for itself, folks. And
absolutely,
if you have any questions about this data, email the staff at Sqairz. I mean, they'll be more than happy to provide you with some documents with some data on it. You guys seen the video. You've seen what Terry did with that golfer. And it was just right out there. So it's all visual. And that's what we're trying to do here on Big's Golf Talk. Now, those of you that's listening to us on the radio side, well, on Tuesday, make sure you go to the video site so you could actually
see that handsome guy, Terry.
We've seen greater distance games too. We're scared to publish some of it, to be honest with you.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
off
I
the
bet.
charts.
Eventually, you're going to have to publish it, and eventually we're going to have you back on because I know you're doing some testing and a bunch of stuff going on. So we want to get you back on so you can use the data and maybe have some charts. Prepare, Terry. Have some charts with you and show us what you got. There you go, baby. We're going to square it up again and hash things out, Mr. Terry. I know what time for sure. Where can people find you?
We can find me at on my Facebook site, Terry Hashimoto, on Instagram, Terry Hashimoto, swingbalance.com, and bodytrack.golf.com.
Wow.
Hey, Terry, thank you so much for joining us. God bless you, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Big John, Big Bill, thank you so much.
Bill, I'll tell you what, man. He is one cool dude. I'll tell you. I want to party with that guy. I mean, I just want to hang out with him.
I do. He has this infection.
Oh, man, he got that energy infection, right?
Yeah, it's just like, he's just grabbing us. And I'm ready.
By this chair. I want to go to the gym. I just want to get this energy going.
I just want to start dancing in my Sqairz shoes. Let's square it off.
Let's square it off. Let's bring it back.
Square.
It's hip to wear Sqairz, baby.
It's hip to wear Sqairz.
More Big Golf Talk coming your way right after this.